Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Caroline, I'm a first-year medical student at Columbia Medical School, and today I'll be bringing you along a couple of weeks in my life as we wrap up our first semester of med school. From histolab to Lincoln Center, to interviewing our first standardized patients, I'm super excited to bring you guys along with me on this episode of the Med School Diaries. First up is our histology pathology class. This is where we learn from the sweetest Dr. Spitalnik about what different organs and pathologies look like under the microscope. We've learned the basics of histology earlier in the semester, and now we're moving on to pathology, or what tissues look like when something's wrong.
This is the colon. We see these what are these areas of necrosis somewhere? Some excess collagen somewhere. Yes, that's all we know.
And earlier today, I actually went to the gym, and so I wanted to give you guys a gym tour. This is the 50 Haven Gym, and it's free for students at the Med Campus, and it's just a nice place to be. Studying all day isn't too good for my posture either, so I've been making sure to stretch after each workout. And now for the gym tour. So the gym has a main floor with weight machines and quite a large open space in the middle. The gym doesn't really get too crowded, at least at the times that I come, which is usually early morning or late afternoons. Near the back of the gym is a weight room with benches and a few more machines. There aren't any squat racks here, but there is what's called the Free Weight Club, which is a space, not in this gym, but in another place, focused on lifting that you do have to buy a membership for. There's also a squash court right next to the weight room, since a good number of our students play squash. And next to that is the basketball court, where you can find people playing pickup ball most afternoons. And looking up to the second floor from the court, you can see the cardio room, which has treadmills, ellipticals, and bikes. I usually spend most of my time in either the weight room or the aerobics room, which I will show you right now. This is where some people do yoga, stretch. Some of our classmates have actually booked this room out to teach ballet or Bollywood dance classes. And now we're gonna fast forward to a couple days later. We're going to see the Nutcracker at Lincoln Center. Bum, 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 bum. Our anatomy professor, Dr. Byrne, who you might know from my last vlog where we went to Thanksgiving at her house, she took our entire class on a group trip to the Nutcracker Ballet. It was my first time inside the theater. I've been outside a bunch of times, but never had the chance to go in. It was so beautiful. It was such a great experience, and especially fun because so many of our friends could make it too.
We're here.
Yeah.
We basically booked out an entire section of the top area of the theater. After the show, we took a big group photo, and we didn't want to go back too late because it was a weeknight, so we subwayed back, and now let's fast forward to December. Hey guys, I'm on my way to my clerkship, my last clerkship of the semester. I'm shadowing in the pediatric clinic today. It should be very fun. The weather has not been too cold recently for December. It's been a little bit rainy, which is not typical, I guess, for the winter, but yeah, I'm just gonna go into the subway. I think it's here. Take it uptown. And yeah, we had our last anatomy lab of the semester yesterday too, which time really flies in med school. And I got my official Columbia swag. We had to buy this ourselves, but I think most of our class got it, so it's like a collective thing. Today, I was paired with a resident physician, basically someone who has graduated medical school and is doing their postgraduate training in a specialty of interest. So hers was pediatrics, and here are some of my reflections for my clerkship. All right, guys, I just finished with clerkship. I really like being in the peds clinic. It is definitely different from the hospital setting, because hospital, I think, is just like, you definitely see more severe or more acute cases. In the clinic today, we saw a few well baby checks. So basically, when you have a child, you bring them in for wellness checks just to make sure everything developmentally is going according to schedule. In my previous clerkships in the hospital, I mentioned that there were some more severe cases. So in our first semester of class, we learn about inborn errors of metabolism. And so there was a case of Pompe's disease, Gaucher's disease. It was interesting to hear about. I didn't actually see the patient because they were resting, but like just learning from their medical documentation about the symptoms that they have makes you actually aware of how applicable everything you're learning is. So yeah, I think being in the clinic, having these clerkship opportunities is really good, just to basically orient yourself and make sure that you understand like you're learning these things for a reason. You're seeing people, you're actually treating people, and you will hopefully be making a positive impact on their lives. And that's the reason why we currently are studying these Anki flashcards. That's the reason why we currently are, prepping for these exams, our boards, and everything like that. So it puts everything into context. Later that night, our class took another group trip down to, guess where we're going? Central Park, and we enjoyed the beautiful holiday market scenes of New York City winter. In New York, they have these holiday markets, for example, at Bryant Park or Central Park, and they just sort of light up the night and make everything more cheerful.
We're going ice skating! Woo!
And so we finally made it to the rink, and took some selfies. Everyone's B-reel went off.
We're getting our B-reel.
Danny's the only one getting there.
Some of our friends were figure skaters in the past, so they knew how to do their swirls and twirls really well, and others were learning. But we all had such an amazing time. And now fast forward to another round of coffeehouse. Coffeehouse is a student-led performance night. Happens every month or so, usually on Fridays. And students from all over the Med campus can come to perform with their bands, do stand-up comedy, improv, any sort of music or dance arrangement, and it's such a good time. The iliotibial band, or the IT band, played again, and this is a band that is formed of all first-year med students with incredible talent and stage presence. So it's always a good time. Fast forward to the next Monday, and here we are in a more tame environment. This is our simulation center, or sim center. This is where we practice taking histories and doing physicals on standardized patients. And this is a standard clinical room you'll see. The mirror is actually a two-way mirror, so that our preceptors can sit behind the wall and observe us as we practice with our patient. This is another part of the Sim Center, and I think M2s are learning how to do phlebotomy or insert IVs. I'm not exactly sure, but next year when I'm in M2, I hopefully will know what's going on. Recently, we've been doing some CPR and basic emergency training, so there are some mannequins and practice tourniquets for us to use in some of the other rooms. So the next day, we had our advisory dean lunch. And these are lunches that we have maybe every few weeks with our advisory dean, or AD. Mine is Dr. Quest. He is an absolutely amazing neurosurgeon, mentor, teacher. And we also had a special guest, Dr. Vagelos, who our school is named after. So it was an absolute honor to be able to have lunch with him, speak with him, listen to his story, his life trajectory at Merck, at Columbia, and just gaining insight from all of his experiences and his wisdom. The next day was a Wednesday, and on Wednesdays we have our Foundations of Clinical Medicine seminar classes. And these are basically classes for our doctoring course, teaching us how to have good bedside manner, how to interview patients, and in this specific session, teaching us how to approach history taking and the interviewing of patients with respect and inclusivity. Later that day, we had our last anatomy lecture of the semester. It was basically a review of everything that we had to know for the final exam. This last part of the semester focused on the skull anatomy. So we had to know the musculature, the nerves, their involvement. It did get pretty complex. I spent a lot of time studying for this class, but it was definitely worth it because it's so incredible how the human body works. And this was our last lecture. Dr. Byrne is such an incredible lecturer, so we gave her a standing ovation. The following week, the History of Medicine Club invited us to a discussion on the history of neurosurgery led by Dr. 𝐏𝐋𝐀𝐘𝐋𝐈𝐒, who is my advising dean. So I went to support him and learned a lot about the history of neurosurgery at Columbia and in New York. And then afterwards, we went on a guided viewing of neurosurgical artifacts in the Health Sciences building. We got to see how past neurosurgical procedures were performed. There was even an operating room schedule from the 1950s, letters between famous neurosurgeons in the 1930s, and very, very graphic illustrations of how neurological surgeries were performed centuries ago. It's funny how things as commonplace as schedule books or letters between friends can be viewed as fascinating artifacts just a few decades later. And last but not least, a couple of days later, we had our first official OSCE session during finals week.
Today is our OSCE day. It stands for, I'll put it on the screen because I don't know what it stands for. Something standardized patient interview something. It's basically where we are interviewing fake patients, so patients who are actors, and so I gotta get there 10 minutes before my start time.
Oh, wait, I haven't read that. I was thinking about that.
Actually, we're all waiting for our orientation for our first official OSCE, or standardized patient interview.
Oh, wow.
Are you excited, Chi?
Yeah, I'm excited. Pretty chill.
Should be chill.
It was pretty low stakes. Like if we failed, then we just talk to Dr. Barry and we just have more practice. So.
Nice. We have hope. All right. Good luck, everyone. Hey guys, just finished with my OSCE. It went pretty well, I think. So our OSCE is recorded, and then we get some feedback after that's not recorded, just because I guess like we don't really want to be honest, so we don't have to like gatekeep any of the feedback. And so I think it went well. Our SK was super nice actually. And the thing is, like, we go in, we sign in on a computer outside, and then like once everyone's signed in and everyone's ready, there's like a voice on the speaker that's like, okay, you may read the door note and like go in and knock on the door and go in, basically spend 10 minutes with the patient, then you come out, then you go back in again to get your feedback. And they said that I sounded very genuine, and so that made the 10 minutes fly by. I felt like it was like the fastest 10 minutes of my life, and it was really good. I feel like it's very important to introduce yourself properly, say the confidentiality agreement, and then also if there's anything that you don't know as a first-year med student, you can just like defer to your attending or the person who's going to come in after, which is always good. And one thing that they said that I could improve on was my stringing of questions. Sometimes I would ask a question and then I would like explain the question right after, so it sounded like I was asking multiple questions, and that could be a little bit confusing to the patient. So I'll definitely make sure to watch out for that. Let me know if you'd like me to make a video on how to approach standardized patient interviewing. I think that would be a really fun video to make. Yeah. And also like a good way to study and like remember how I should approach interviews in the future. Oh yeah, it's also exam week. So we have anatomy, histology, and genetics. I think I'm gonna take genetics today. I'm gonna study for anatomy today, maybe take it today or tomorrow, and then study for histo like tomorrow or Friday because it's a Wednesday now. Yeah, I just want to finish as fast as I can, pass all my exams, do well on them, and then be able to enjoy the break. We just finished our last anatomy practical and we're celebrating with cookies and brownies. We were all able to finish our exams on time and then got to go on a 2-week winter break. The spring is when we start to actually do more doctorish things like seeing patients in the hospital, learning to do physical exams, and learning more about organ systems. I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you guys. And until then, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!